sitting here with Sujith Ravindran.
That's correct.
Hey, I pronounce it good.
Perfectly.
For the second part of our little talk here, India, the country you were born, you were raised.
Yes.
Is there such a thing as free will in India, or do people laugh when you talk about free will, ego? Are those things which are talked about in growing up in India?
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I want to understand first from you, Patrick, what is your understanding of free will?
That you first make a choice. I chose to come to this place. Now I choose my words carefully, talking to you. And then I choose to sit like this, and now I bow my head. And us Dutch people and European people is taught that everything you do, you first internally make a choice doing it. But there are some scientists and people who talk about this stuff who say, well, there is no one who is choosing, there's just stuff happening. So I'm interested in how is that in India? What do people say about that? What do you say about it?
Now, it's let me share with you my context of free will. You see, I'm here today in this body, 40 years old. Now, I've had this conditioning just in this lifetime. And I'm not welcoming you to even believe that there are past lives or reincarnation. That's all right. Just focusing on where we are today in our body, in our lifetime, this lifetime. Over 40 years I've been conditioned in certain ways. And now, are we free? Like every time I instinctively, put my hand up when I'm coughing. It's become a habit. Now, would you call that as being free will?
No, conditioning. Someone, your mother probably or your father said, hey, put a hand before your mouth when you cough.
Yes. Yeah. Now, a lot of things that we do are like that. Like, maybe when I'm nervous, the thing I do is maybe, play with my nose. Don't know. Now, either ways, most of what we do, almost all of what we do, is a conditioned activity, a conditioned doingness. Now, that is not free will. And that is part of our human conditioning. When we can truly, through awareness, transcend that conditioning and make a choice out of spirit, then, like kids do, little kids, they're not conditioned. Of course, they also carry a lot of their memories from the past. But having said that, they are so much more a clean slate than I am.
Yeah.
And they kind of truly operate from that voice. It's not instinctive, it's more intuitional. And that refers to free will as we understand and practice it in India.
So the free will is the intuitive voice inside that gives...
Following that.
Following that.
Yes. And, the reason why I asked free will, being willed with that source. Having said that, I've been amused with the different kind of interpretations and definitions, and all of that are perfect, all right, because your interpretation, Patrick, serves you best. So the kind of interpretation you have of free will is ideal for who you are, where you are in this journey of life. Now, I've been amused to also see people draw a distinction between, free will and God's will. And God's will being that, following spirit. And free will being, following your egoic conditioning. Individuals who have just a different definition. in my case, that God's will is truly free will. Because it's not an external God out there compelling us. It is that godliness within me that is asking me or welcoming me to operate in divinity. So that God's will for me is really the free will in the definition of many people that I've met. Just wanted to kind of discriminate it to give you a little understanding of how I grew up learning.
But does the ego have any power over me?
Good question. What do you feel, Patrick?
Well, when I listen to it, when I focus my attention on the wants of the ego, and then yeah, it has power. Yeah.
Beautiful. It's my choice whether I should relinquish my power to my ego or not. Now, some very simple ways, simple feelings through which ego expresses itself is through fear, guilt, and shame. Now, I'm reminded of a story, of an experience like a couple of years back. I was in Durban, South Africa, and I was offering an event, and this lady just stood up and she burst out crying. She was in such deep pain, and I did not know the sources and the triggers of that pain, but I could just sense the deep pain, and everybody in the room could. Now, after a while, when she started to settle down, she made a statement to us. She said, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted of giving and giving and giving to my children, to my husband, to my parents, to my relatives. I'm tired. And I looked at her and my heart opened in compassion, She used the word giving, but it wasn't true giving.
Giving and returning something, expecting something in return.
There of course was a payoff. Unconsciously the person was seeking. And in this individual's case, what was happening is she was being driven by fear, guilt, and shame. If she doesn't give and give and give until she's completely run down, to her kids, if she doesn't give, she felt guilty. So she was giving out of guilt. Oh, I'm not being a good mother if I don't give. To her husband, it was all coming out of shame, because her husband wanted to remind her, or at least she used to carry this shame that I'm not being a good wife. And that insufficiency that somebody feels in that being, in the state of being, is shame. So she was kind of being driven by her fear of being rejected by others, fear of being judged by others, the guilt of not doing enough for the kids, the shame of not being a good wife for her husband. Those were the things that were propelling her to give. Do you feel, Patrick, from this story about this lady, that she was being in her true power in that act of giving?
No. Oprah Winfrey once called it the disease to please.
Okay. Yes.
It's all about still the me.
Yeah.
The me who feels guilty, shameful. What was the third?
Guilt, fear.
Fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
But what to do then? It's the only way we know how to get rid of those.
No, not you, Patrick. You're smarter than that. You are more conscious than that.
Well, but I run around the world for a lot of years, telling everybody how good I was, because I didn't think I was good. So you think you have to tell the world I'm good, but you have to tell yourself, or just don't believe the thought you're not good enough.
What happens to me, Patrick, just to touch upon that, what happens to me the moment I need your appreciation or your validation for me to feel good? What am I feeling inside?
Yeah, pain or
shame.
Shame. Yeah.
With my own being, if I'm not in self-love, that is shame manifesting. It is my ego manifesting itself, my egoic conditioning manifesting itself through shame. Now, this lady, she wasn't being in her power. She was a very important person in the lives of her 2 daughters, her husband, her parents. Very, very indispensable person. But now that I've shared this story with you, do you feel that she was in her true power?
No.
Now, that is definitely for me not being in my power when I'm driven by my conditioning. Now, for me, here and now, at this very moment, free from all my conditioning, what is it that I want to do? You know, what is my higher self yearning to do?
Yeah.
That is me expressing my true inner power.
But that could be being a good mother or being a good wife, but not out of your own reasoning or your own...
Out of fear, guilt, or shame.
Yeah.
No.
Sujith, is there such a thing as a healthy ego, or is ego... it's a mechanism for this body that it cleans itself and it takes up a little space in traffic and stuff like that, but it's such a big thing in these kind of talks. But is there what's a healthy ego? How do I recognize a healthy ego?
That's a very, very subtle question, you know, and the beautiful thing about this question is we recognize the ego. All right. Now, 2 thoughts come to my mind. One is, there is a healthy ego. You know, in our human embodiment, we are here with the ego. And that is what ensures our self-preservation. Now, when our egoic conditioning becomes not good, when we are stuck to our identity. I, me, myself, being separate from you, Patrick. When I experience that duality or multiplicity, already I am trapped in my ego. Now, if I can simply, like a baby, look at a baby, two legitimate yearnings of a baby is 1, food, water, safety, and 2, affection. That's it. Now,
it needs that for survival also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that is also the yearning of the egoic self. And that is very legitimate. When we get beyond that, and you know, you got a Porsche or a Ferrari that you absolutely, not because you want to go from A to B, but because you want to be seen as somebody exceptional. That is your ego expressing. When I am going around carrying a Louis Vuitton or Gucci, whatever, that is my ego trying to express my distinctiveness, my identity. That is when ego has gone overboard. Now, having said that, the second thought that comes to my mind is these past 20 years, and I've been traveling through so many countries. I'm extremely fortunate to be able to live this longing of spirit to connect and to experience different cultures and people. One of the things that I've often encountered is this polarized relationship with the ego. You know, I'm hearing people say things like, I want to bludgeon my ego to death. And I'm kind of like, you know, reminded, wow, that's kind of a battle cry.
Let's see who's stronger, my ego or me. Yeah.
It's part of me.
Yeah.
I must not try to bludgeon it to death. I must not try to obliterate it. Yeah. I must lovingly embrace it.
So ego means good. I mean, it's not the enemy. It tells you things like, get that bigger car. You get more attention from the ladies.
if I consider my ego, Patrick, to be my enemy, essentially, who's my enemy?
Yeah, the other ones, the world.
I.
Yeah. I am my enemy.
Yes. When I am in a hateful relationship with my ego, who am I hating?
Yeah. Yourself. Yeah.
That's what I am.
Yeah.
And do I want to live my life every day being in this battle?
A war zone.
Yeah.
Inside your head.
Yes.
So getting rid of ego is a stupidest thing to do.
Lovingly integrating it.
Yeah.
You know, there are some teachings that I've come across where people tell about life being a constant battle between good and evil. That's not my reality.
No.
Now, you know what? The couple of days back, I had a certain lady very vocally express her dissatisfaction with Donald Trump.
The big businessman from America. Yeah.
Now, Donald seemed to be having some policies and philosophies and principles in his life that goes against her principles. Now, I don't want to be a judge of Donald's principles or her principles, but she was being so ferocious about her point of view that, you know what, he should be hanged.
Oh.
And she had all the noble intentions that women should be considered equal, and gluttony and greed and the pursuit of wealth at any cost is destroying humanity and the planet, all of that. She had some noble principles that was driving her. But when I was being a witness of this person, I was aghast. Wow. Now, she wants to travel the higher road, but what she's doing in that process, with that battle cry, with that inner conflict, that rage, that energy of wanting to fight and kill, she was actually traveling a low road. Yeah. And I had to ask her, now, do you believe from that place of rage, of hatred, of bitterness, you will ever be able to transform Donald Trump?
What did she say?
She didn't say anything, but I knew she got it.
Yeah. That's a great story. Okay.
Isn't it?
Finally, Sujith, thank you for your time. Can you tell us something about the things you do on the internet? The Blue Academy?
Blue Temple Academy.
Blue Temple Academy. What's that about?
Oh, it's just a label. It's an academy, a virtual academy. It's an academy through which I offer my service to humanity. That involves this great opportunity, this great gift of being able to go to these 9 countries, share my little bit, inspire people to kind of embark on their path of growth. And so all my seminars, all my workshops, all my talks, all fall under that umbrella of the Blue Temple Academy.
And how many times do you visit Holland? Once a year?
Once a year, every autumn.
Every autumn?
Every autumn I'm in Europe, and at the time I'll be in 6 countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to visit Germany maybe?
Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Netherlands, Italy, and UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in India, do you talk about these things?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
You coach people from businesses and...
Yes, I do.
Yeah. I think you are needed inside the room to test some more. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much, Patrick.
Hope to see you again.
I appreciate the effort.
Thank you.
Thank you.